If you love Resident Evil, then you have your own hopes for RE9. That includes me. Here's 9 of them, plus a couple bonuses at the end that felt like a lot to ask for. Welcome, for the first time ever, to the BIOLOUNGE. Keep your weapons loaded and your coffee warm. First on the list, another anime-esque opening sequence like RE7's Go Tele and Rhodey. This was one of the most underrated things about RE7 for me. As soon as the game loads up, you're blasted by a tone-setting montage that really gets the blood flowing. Personally, when I load up RE7, I never skip it, and I'd love to see something similar when I load up RE9 for the first time. Number 2. Multiple camera perspectives, starting with third. Now, I'm not a hater on the first-person perspectives of RE7 and 8. I think those games were perfectly suited to first-person. But now that Ethan is gone and first-person was something specific to him with the whole faceless protagonist thing, even his daughter was in third-person in the Shadow of Rose DLC, I think it's for the best to return to the over-the-shoulder point of view. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't have something to do with the fact that the characters in Resident Evil look really cool, and I like seeing them on screen. But also, I'd be open to having an option for first-person and even fixed camera perspectives. I think those would increase the replayability and please a lot of fans of different playstyles. I really think the game should be built for third-person initially, because when a game built for first-person has a third-person mode added later, the translation from first to third can be really clunky and stiff, like in the RE8 Winters expansion, whereas starting in third to ensure fluid movement animations, then switching to first tends to feel much more natural, as seen in the Resident Evil 2 FPS mod. Number 3. Survival horror, as in an emphasis on both survival and horror. Look guys, not every game can be RE4, and the fall-off of the series after 6 shows that not every game should. There can still be action, sure, but save the ammo spraying for the end. No merchant, no currency, no kung fu, unless they discover a fresh balance. After 2 action horror titles back-to-back with RE8 and RE4 Remake, it's only fair that we get back to survival horror with gameplay more akin to RE2 Remake and RE7. Capcom has been able to please fans of both playstyles so far, so I'd be willing to bet that they're developing a turn order moving forward. And fair is fair. With RE9, I think survival horror should be next. Number 4. A stalker enemy. I am so tired of fans trashing on the roaming monsters kind of enemies, saying, "We don't need any more, it's overused, Which look, I get it, but in my opinion, out of the 4 stalker enemies we've seen, the latter 2 of them were intensely short segments with mostly dumb AI. I'm speaking of course of Nemesis and Lady D. Nemesis had a stalking section that lasted like 10 minutes before being a scripted boss encounter for the rest of the game. And Lady D walked around at a snail's pace through a couple largely spacious areas where she was easy to avoid. Seriously, I feel like most of the time I encountered her in that big main living hall with the stairs, it felt like a high school gymnasium with like a coffee table in the middle. I'm sure I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. Nothing has reached the high of Mr. X and Jack Baker, and this mechanic has become too notorious to the modern series to just be put to rest forever. There's so much more that could be done here in my opinion. Number 5. Okay, this one is pretty obvious. Answers. To Mia, the connections, and the BSAA. RE7 and 8 had such mysterious plots surrounding the Winters family, and a lot of the dialogue between them seems to imply a lot more going on, especially concerning Mia Winters. She was an agent to a mysterious bioterror group in 7, but then we learn nothing more about her in Village except for some cryptic half-finished statements and a love of cardigans? I don't buy it. Then of course the open end to RE8 concerning Chris and the BSAA. If you're interested in the unanswered mysteries of RE7 and 8, then I recommend checking out the channel Evil Redfields. They're excellent at combing through plot details and lore to draw some really intriguing speculations. Let's hope in RE9 we get the answers we're looking for. Number 6. 2 legacy characters max. Not the whole RE6 cast like some people want. I've seen people say that they want Billy, Barry, Sherry, Sheva, Jake, Jill, Chris, Claire, Rebecca, and probably Mr. fucking X to show up as main protagonists. And it's just like, no. I'm sorry, but no. This isn't the Wu-Tang Clan, guys. We can't have like 15 dudes up on stage and expect things to go smoothly. I know we all have favorite characters who've disappeared from the series, but that's sorta just what Resident Evil is like in my opinion. The games show a time and a place and one or two people, and then more often than not, the rest of their lives after that is a mystery to us. Just my opinion, but 2 playable legacy characters at most. Number 7. Chris not to be written dumb for plot convenience. Assuming Chris Redfield is a major character in RE9, I just want to see Chris written as a competent person again. As much as I love it for all of its ridiculousness, in RE8, Chris was clearly written to be dumber for the sake of making certain plot points happen. The fact that you can't talk about Village without hearing the obligatory, "everything would have been okay if Chris just blank," is not a good thing. It's not a Luke Skywalker situation exactly, but I don't want to see another legacy character done dirty like that again. Number 8. A consistent save room theme. Although RE8 did have a save room theme, there's genuinely only one room in the game that makes use of it, being early on in the castle. This could have something to do with the Duke by and large, setting up shop outdoors, but regardless, it's a serious tradition, and I'd like to really get to know the save music in RE9. And number 9. Zombies. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people who have to say, Resident Evil is all about zombies anytime the series uses a less conventional enemy type. I love the molded in RE7 and the lichens in RE8, and I wouldn't swap them out for run-of-the-mill infected if I could. But when we look at the classic enemies, we know they're the product of humans meddling with life. They're built in or the eventual product of work done in a lab. There's an argument to be made for the molded being a product of Evelyn, who was a lab-made BOW, but in Resident Evil Village, if it wasn't for all the files saying otherwise, you'd be forgiven for imagining the lichens being summoned from a portal by an evil wizard. I understand that kind of fairy tale feeling is at the heart of RE8's aesthetic, so I'm not criticizing it for that, but given that RE9 is rumored to be the last numbered title, and is supposed to be the end of an era, I think that getting back to the roots of BOWs is for the best interest of this climax in the series. Okay, I'm a man of my word. And of course, like I said, these ones are just wishful thinking, but the bonus entries I promised are co-op mercenaries and a built-in randomizer. Assuming Capcom remakes RE5 at some point, they may want a testing ground for modern RE co-op. The Mercenaries mode in RE8 would be a great place to start and would be a huge attraction since Mercenaries hasn't had co-op for years. And as for an official randomizer in the game, randomizer mods have been around for a long time, and Capcom no doubt is aware of them. These games may be short on average, but they thrive on the replayability. An official randomizer built in could push that even further. Honestly folks, I'm foaming at the mouth to get an RE9 announcement, and I've really got a good feeling that we could be getting that sometime this year. I try not to butt chug hopium, but when it's something we really love, this fanbase can't help itself. I'll be excited to break the news to a few of you. Well, looks like I'm out of coffee, and I used up my last ink ribbon. If you watch this, I love you, and I'll see you at the next typewriter.